Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's AEW Dynamite review show here on the unofficial WWE podcast. My name is Mimi Burris. Today is Thursday, October 6th, 2021, and what a Dynamite did we have last night to talk about tonight. There was a lot of good stuff that went on last night, and I know a lot of talking points, a lot of stuff to get into, and we are going to cover all of it right after this.
Mr. Rudy Lee, Jungle Boy,
Prime Tag Team Champions just invaded Daly's place! We are the pinnacle! Electros apply!
no other championship means that much.
I can't believe what we're seeing here!
Oh, it is time for a new intro, but not right now because we are here to talk about last night's AEW Dynamite, like I said at the top of the show. Before we get into the whole thing, as always, guys, if this is your first time tuning in here, welcome. If this is not your first time and you're just a long-time listener, maybe it's your second or third time. I don't really care what time it is. All I care is that you are listening to this podcast, and I want to give you a thank you from me, a thank you from everybody here on the team at the WWE podcast. We have a whole bunch of shows. We have the NXT review show. We have the Raw review show, SmackDown. We got Michael Ritter, Zach Smith. We have Matt, obviously, doing the weekend review as well. There's a whole lot of stuff that goes on here, and I'm probably missing some stuff, as I normally do. But there's a lot of shows to tune into, a lot of different hosts. So if I'm just not your flavor, I'm going to try that again. If I'm just not your flavor, you can try one of our many other hosts, because according to some people, Logan Meyer 23, I am just too negative. So if you don't want to listen to a negative Nelly, we've got a whole bunch of other shows for you to tune into with a whole bunch of other hosts. So go give them some love, absolutely. And if you want to give them even more love and you want to give them ad-free love, you can subscribe to us on Patreon. For $1 a month, you get all of these shows, all of these wonderful co-hosts, beautiful voices, ad-free. And we're also on iTunes. If you want to get on there ad-free, it's like $2.99 a month, I assume. You get some exclusive shows, including Wrestling Nostalgia. The whole 9 yards. It's just it's a good time to be a wrestling fan. It's a good time to be a WWE podcast Patreon member. We got a Discord server you get to be a part of during pay-per-views. We all talk. I don't really watch the WWE product anymore, but still, they all do that, and it was a blast while I was there. And it's probably even more fun because I'm not there anymore. And a whole bunch of stuff that comes along with being a Patreon member or subscribed on iTunes. So go check it all out. And speaking of All Out, that's my transition, because All Out is a show from AEW and we are talking about Dynamite. And guys, we're definitely going to get into some nitty-gritty things here that I had a couple issues with, and, whatever, the women's division as always and all of this different stuff. But let's start at the top of the hour with our opening match, which was none other than the four-man. There were 8 men. There were 8 men there. An 8-man tag team match with Bryan Danielson, Christian Cage, Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus, obviously, versus the Young Bucks, Nick and Matt Jackson, Kenny Omega, and Adam Cole. Baby! And wow, was this match exactly what we kind of expected from these incredible 8 men. A lot of awesome spots. Nick Jackson and Jungle Boy would start this match. And, Jungle Boy did a super kick, holding onto Matt Jackson's hand, but still a super kick on the top rope. Not on the turnbuckle. Legitimately tightrope walked on the top rope. Rey Fenix, your turn. What's next, man? AEW, some of the stuff that these guys and women do on just a weekly basis continues to blow my mind. So I want to make sure I always point out those wonderful, wonderful spots. And yeah, we got some great, an amazing sequence between Nick and Jungle Boy, Nick Jackson and Jungle Boy at first. And some really good back and forth with Adam Cole and Jungle Boy in this match. Jungle Boy was the star of this match, absolutely. And in a match with a Christian Cage, a Bryan Danielson, and Adam Cole, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Luchasaurus, who is so over. And like, we stand Luchasaurus here on the WWE podcast, so happy about that. But with a match with all of these big names, you know, Luchasaurus being the biggest name, of course, because he is a dinosaur. Jungle Boy was the star of the show this entire time. There was a great spot where all the men jumped out over the top rope, through the top rope, suicide dive, sentons, all that stuff, and then Adam Cole goes to do it and just stops, takes a moment in the middle of the ring, and does his standard Adam Cole, baby, because we did not have time for the entrances, so it was still great to hear that pop. And this Philadelphia crowd, by the way, I just, incredible. Rivaled Chicago, rivaled Grand Slam in New York, like, just were fired up for almost all 2 hours. So really just added to this match. Yes, there was this small quick botch with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks and Adam Cole, I think, all trying to powerbomb Luchasaurus. They played it off real well. I don't really think it affected much in the match. And then the Young Bucks, Adam Cole, the Super Elite, I'll just call them the Super Elite, get the win with a quadruple BTE trigger on Jungle Boy, and they get to 1, 2, 3. And I mean, yeah, guys, Luchasaurus had a great showing in this match with just like some awesome offense on both Young Bucks, on Adam Cole. That new move with the chokeslam, like, I think he chokeslammed Adam Cole this week onto Kenny Omega. I could watch that every day of my life. It's just so sad. It's wonderfully destructive and creative, and I love Luchasaurus. And yeah, guys, this was just what you expected to be. 4-star match, fun. Some really awesome spots, really well put together. The story being told in the match, too, never really got too diluted. The only thing I will say, and I caveat most AEW tag team matches with this, is they got to figure out if they are going to have a 5-second count or not. If they are going to have rules or no rules. Like, just, you know, I don't need JR pointing it out on commentary, honestly. But they have to figure something out there because it's too distracting for me. And maybe they don't. Maybe I asked this on Twitter, and I'll probably ask it again too. I'd really love to get your guys' thoughts. It's distracting for me. I'm so like logic, rule based, and maybe it'll just be new, and I'll get used to it or something. I've been watching this for a while now though, and I still don't feel used to it. But I can't overlook that, like, stuff. Believability is important to me, and when, like, a babyface team gets a 5 count but the heel team doesn't, just because it fits with the story, that doesn't really work with me. So, yeah, really fun opening match, guys, and we're going to continue moving along because we've got a whole bunch to talk about, but I will say that cattle mutilation in the middle of the ring to Kenny Omega with Nick Jackson doing a senton to break it up was probably my favorite spot of the match. But there were so many other amazing spots as well. The Panama Sunrise always looks great. And I'm going to not mention a bunch of the amazing spots that these guys did and amazing moments that these guys had in this match too, because I just won't be able to give it credit here on this podcast. So I assume you've already watched it. I assume you've already watched Dynamite before you come and listen to this podcast. If you haven't, that's cool too. I hope I can give you enough of a recap where you feel like, I hope I can paint the picture enough for you. But if for some reason you haven't gone and seen this match, go watch this entire show. You know, I'll probably say that about 500 times throughout. So next up, guys, we had Jon Moxley cutting a promo. He says that there's no man in AEW that can beat him. He's been in ladder matches and where it's better to be stupid with ladders. Oh, excuse me. He says, where is it better to be stupid with ladders than in Philadelphia? And he makes a comment about the fact that he is a 3-month-old at home now. He's angry, he's frustrated, the 3-month-old is insane, and I love that. And the slow burn of a Jon Moxley heel turn is coming, and we definitely heard a lot of it tonight. I don't know if it was just because it was on the other side of Hangman Page, but I don't know, guys. I think it's coming. So really one of my favorite promos from Jon Moxley yet, and I feel like I say that every time he cuts a promo, but bite me. I'm going to continue to say it. Then we have CM Punk coming out and cutting another promo, if you want to call it that, really just soaking in the love of the fans. And guys, can we talk about CM Punk in that muscle t-shirt thing? He like cut the sleeves off his shirt or whatever and made it a tank. The man looked like an absolute piece. Just like whatever, just came out. Tattoos look great, body looked great. He just looked like ageless. And yeah, I know he's got a little gray in the beard and his face doesn't look exactly the same, but I think the man was glowing personally. And it was really fun to see him again. COVID aside, we all have our own views on what we should and should not be doing, but we're at a wrestling show. Diving into the crowd again. And he asked the crowd if they're sick of this whole thing yet, because he knows he's absolutely not sick of it. He talks about his Jordans. He talks about how, his love for Philadelphia, how he was essentially fulfilled in wrestling. He got himself an iPad and an iPod or something like that at some point. And he essentially says that he was spiritually rich because of all the wrestling that he got to do in Philadelphia when he was a lot younger, or when he was younger. But he's glad he's back in this exact community, and he talks about cheesesteaks or cheesecakes or something, and asks the crowd if they would rather see him wrestle or get a bunch of cheesesteaks. And what do you know, the crowd was more up for watching CM Punk wrestle than getting cheesesteaks. I don't know where I lie on that spectrum, but I'm gonna leave that, up to. I'm gonna leave that one in the air. I'm gonna leave that one in my back pocket there. If I would have wanted a cheesesteak, Philly cheesesteak, like a homegrown Philadelphia cheesesteak, if you have not had one, you should get your hands on one. Or if I wanted to see CM Punk wrestle. Nonetheless, though, I don't have a choice in the matter because I wasn't in Philadelphia. I did not have a voice, but the voice of the voiceless said that he is going to wrestle Daniel Garcia on Rampage on Friday, aka later on that night, obviously, for those who were in attendance. And yeah, that's going to be a super exciting match. And just CM Punk is so good at what he does. He gives his shoes to the Orange Cassidy kid out in the ring afterwards. And this was just a nice moment. Again, I really felt like this crowd in Philadelphia rivaled the Chicago crowd. And I'm not sick of this yet. I think I'm wearing a little bit, but then he gets out there, you hear the reaction, you feel the love, and he always manages to twist it into some kind of match that's coming up, some kind of something, some feud, some direction. Like, he doesn't just go out there and feel the love. There's always a direction with CM Punk. There's always a thought behind what he's saying out there, and so I'm loving it. I'm just loving watching CM Punk, candid CM Punk. So next up after CM Punk's promo, we have footage of Arn Anderson out at Cody Rhodes' house, and he's got a fire in like a bin. Excuse me, not Arn Anderson. We've got Armed Anderson. It's just the greatest. The internet is such a great thing, guys. We have Armed Anderson outside with like a big fire outside of Cody Rhodes' house. He's burning a suit, and he asks Cody Rhodes, who's up on the balcony, to come out and tells him to burn his hot pink tie, and says that, he's a loser. He might as well paint a star on his face. I really like that line, bringing him back to Stardust. You know what? I loved Cody Rhodes so much in those days, guys. Quick side note. I love Stardust. Not because the character was good or anything, but I just thought Cody Rhodes was phenomenal. I had like a Stardust t-shirt, I think. I definitely had like a Goldust Stardust t-shirt for sure. And he says, or Cody tries to stop him. Arn gives him a nice slap on the face. Another Armed Anderson is just on a new level right now, and has him burn his own tie, and then we go to commercial break. Guys, I'm into this Cody Rhodes thing. I hope that he is turning heel and not trying to get some kind of retribution. No, not the gang of Mustafa Ali, Dominic Dijakovic retribution. No, retribution in terms of trying to come back as a baby face and not want to play a heel. I hope Cody Rhodes just goes full-fledged heel with this. I hope he plays a really delusional heel too. And it seemed like he was going that way, but I've heard some reports otherwise. So we will have to continue to stay tuned. And I'm super interested in the slow burn of this, no pun intended again, because that tie did not burn slowly, that's for sure. But yeah, I'm loving Armed Anderson. It adds a little comedic relief to the whole thing, and some of the intensity is actually kind of funny, which is it can be a good or a bad thing, and in this case, I think it's been pretty good. A little comedic relief, and I'm really interested in the arc of where Cody Rhodes is ending up. Quick side note, by the way, I watched the Road to the Top. I don't know what it's called. The reality show, Cody Rhodes' reality show. I watched 1 or 2 episodes. I think I watched all of them so far, actually. I don't know why I'm trying to play it off. No, I think I've watched all of them. The first 2 were better than the next 2, I think. But I skipped through a lot of the stuff. I don't really care about the baby crap, which is, congratulations to them, obviously. I don't know. I'm not I'm not watching the Kardashians or anything like that. Like, I don't care about a lot of that stuff. I don't know how I feel about the whole, like, seeing a lot of the inner workings behind the scenes. All I'll say, because I haven't made my opinion on it yet, but I do recommend you go check it out and make your own opinion on it, obviously. But I'll say it's really well put together. It's a really nicely produced show, and it has a little bit of a different vibe to it than most just reality shows. So I'm liking it so far. I will continue to tune in. It's not like must-see TV for me, but it's like downtime TV. So, okay, so when we came back from commercial break, we get the quick snippets of the Road to with Bobby Fish and Sammy Guevara, and then we get the TNT title match. And yeah, this was a good fundamental wrestling match. I will put it that way. And it was fun to see Bobby Fish in his element wrestle without the cuffs on, without the WWE cuffs on, and see who Bobby Fish really is. Because again, I never watched him in Ring of Honor or anything like that. So it was nice to see that there was more to Bobby Fish than met the eye in NXT from what I got to see. Oh, look at me rhyming over here. But yeah, it was cool to see his MMA background take place. But in the end, real quick, a standing Spanish fly. Unbelievable. But Sammy Guevara wins by pinfall, hitting the GTH on Bobby Fish to get the win. And yeah, I had low expectations for this match, and I was pleasantly surprised. I thought this was like just a really good wrestling match, and I think going from that 8-man tag to this, it was a good dynamic, and it kept things fresh, and it keeps AEW just as a nice buffet. The only thing I will say is that I hope Sammy Guevara's title run does not kind of become like Darby Allin's, where somehow each week he just manages to scapegoat it. Like, I don't want to think, how is Sammy Guevara going to barely get the win this week? I want to see an in-between, not a Miro championship run where he dominates everybody, but not a Darby Allin where he gets a roll-up on everybody and that's how he manages to win. I want to see Sammy Guevara have some really good matches and just competitive matches back and forth. Like, it doesn't need to be one or the other. I want to see some gray area here. So, and this bordered on Darby Allin TNT match. So, TNT title match, excuse me. After the match, though, American Top Team come to the ring. Dan Lambert, Junior Dos Santos, and a bunch of other people. I don't know their names. And with Scorpio Sky as well. No Ethan Page. Congratulations to Ethan Page, who he and his wife just had a baby. Well, realistically, his wife just had a baby. So congratulations to the both of them. Good work, Mrs. Ethan Page. And yeah, all the best, obviously. I don't know when we'll see him back on TV. It might be next week. It might be 3 months. It might be a year. I don't know. But, congratulations to, obviously, the happy couple and to a new family member. That's super exciting, super awesome. So, but yes, Junior Dos Santos comes in, beats the living bejesus out of Sammy Guevara. Just like straight elbows. It looked vicious. It was hard to watch, but in a good way. It looked safe, obviously, but it was a very good work, shoot, beat down, if that makes sense. We get, of course, Fuego del Sol, the just pure-hearted, wonderful soul that he is. I was trying to think another word instead of saying soul, and because, homonyms don't really work well on a podcast, but soul as in S-O-U-L. However, wordplay there. Fuego del Sol, soul. Yes, he's just got a wonderful, beautiful soul. He comes out to try to save Sammy Guevara, but it's not going to happen. And then Jake Hager and apparently Golden Gloves, Rocky Beater, that doesn't make sense, Chris Jericho comes down to the ring and manages to punch Junior Dos Santos so viciously that Junior Dos Santos, former heavyweight UFC champion, has to leave the ring. All right, a lot of this got a lot better after this, but I just need to point this out. This could have been so much easier, and this was so Jericho. I don't know why I feel like That's So Raven just played in my head, and I just went, that's so Jericho. Like, egotistic, so beyond the realm of believability with this guy. Again, Junior Dos Santos, former heavyweight UFC champion. I do know a little bit about Junior Dos Santos. I don't know a lot about UFC. I've said that before on the show, but I am fairly tuned in here and there. And, yeah, Chris Jericho's not going to be able to, especially 50-something-year-old Chris Jericho is not going to be able to beat Junior Dos Santos out of the ring. So I thought that was silly. Simple fix, guys. Simple fix. Jake Hager, Chris Jericho come down with like a lead pipe or a steel chair or something. You know, that it was that easy. They didn't even need to hit anyone. They could just do that thing where they hit the ropes and then they roll out or whatever. Like, it could have been so much easier. But no, Golden Gloves Chris Jericho had to make it known that he could get the beat down on Junior Dos Santos and have him leave the ring. Ridiculous stuff. However, after the beatdown, American Top Team run up to the stage. Dan Lambert says to cut the music off. By the way, I forgot to mention, yes, as Chris Jericho, Golden Gloves champion, is beating down Junior Dos Santos out of the ring, his music is continuing to play the entire time. The crowd keeps singing Judas afterwards. Chris Jericho's loving it. And then Lambert starts talking. He says that Tony Khan has all the stroke in the world, and they'll be in American Top Team's hometown of Miami. He wants a 6-man tag, Inner Circle versus Men of the Year and Junior Dos Santos, and Jorge Masvidal will be in the American Top Team's corner. You can't hear a word he's saying, though, because that crowd is just booing him like crazy, giving him the shut the F up chants the entire time. This is really hot, apparently, this program between these guys. I mean, obviously Jericho accepts after telling him that he couldn't hear a thing he said. Me too, Jericho. The crowd was really into this, and I don't know if it was more fun live, or some things just resonate better live than they do on TV, or vice versa. I couldn't give less of a crap about any of this, but it's hot, and you know, the crowd doesn't lie. If a crowd is that hot for something, then it's working. So subjectively is one thing, but my obviously objective take is people are loving this, so whatever, fuck it, you know, have them enjoy it, and apparently they are. So but we got a whole bunch more to get into, so I will move on. Next up, we had the Acclaimed cutting a promo. Not a good rap, but not Max Caster's best rap. However, I did like that line, something about Scooby-Doo villain-looking asses or something like that. I don't know. And when we come back from commercial break after that, Tony Schiavone is in the ring with Aubrey Edwards. They're making the big announcement, and the announcement is a new TBS championship, a new women's title, essentially the equivalent of the TNT title, but for the women. And I got a lot of thoughts on this, guys. And you know what? I think I'm going to save them. And there might just be a women's TBS title podcast in our future here on the WWE podcast. You should probably subscribe to Patreon for $1 a month or on iTunes for $2.99 a month, completely ad-free, all these extra shows that you get. And this might be one of them. Maybe I'll even see if I can get the Ashley Man on here. Maybe I'll see if I can get more than one co-host. But I think this is worth sitting down and talking about with a couple other people. And just talking about our views and what we think, obviously, with the women's division. Should they have added another title? Will adding another title be helpful? Will it be harmful? What do we think of Britt Baker's promo later on in the night? All I will say is that this will go one of two ways, and either they will actually start taking the women's division seriously, and maybe we'll get more than one match from the women on each episode of Dynamite, or it's going to continue to be that way, and this is going to look like a joke. And I have a feeling, from what I've seen so far, we're leaning towards one side more than the other. However, I told you guys, if they start taking this women's division seriously, because we got a banger of a match later on in the night, I will get DMD tattooed on me. I will do that, because that is how much I am for women's wrestling and how much I just want AEW to get on the freaking ball with it, man. Women's wrestling is where it's at right now. And, yeah, it's hard to give two titles, you know, to the women's division, the men's division, and then not treat them equally. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I just said I wasn't going to give a lot of my views, and I just did. But still tune into that podcast if that ends up being something that we get together and doing. I think that would be a nice little bonus thing to have here on the WWE podcast. So, all right, guys. Up next, Jim Ross interviews Darby Allin in a nice sit-down. Darby Allin talks about why he wears his face paint, connecting it, the fact that he, you know, is half dead or something. I thought this was a really good segment. And talking about some serious stuff, right? And I think, obviously, with Darby Allin's permission, this is a great place for MJF to go next week. And we're going to get into more of this program later on in the show, so I will save my thoughts for that. But speaking of Darby Allin, he had a quick little match with Nick Comoroto. Most of it was during a commercial break, but Darby Allin did get the win by a pinfall with a coffin drop, and the real story of this whole thing was the no-sell of the Diamond Cutter by Sting, and then dropping him with the Scorpion Death Drop. This just fun, again, continuing to add on to the buffet. There's not a lot to analyze here, but good, fun little match, and most of it, like I said, was in commercial break, and just Sting, 62-year-old Sting, 63-year-old Sting, just no-selling the Diamond Cutter. I love that. That popped me. I think I'm getting on the Sting train. I think I am getting on the Sting train. We get a Dark Order interview backstage where they're all agreeing to settle their differences and decide that they're all going to vote and have a majority wins rule going on now. And that Alan Angel should remask, should put his mask back on because he's really ugly. And then they talk about how a lot of them look alike. Again, nice. That's all I really got to say. So Tony Schiavone is interviewing Dante Martin in the middle of the ring after this. And you know what, guys? Like, I thought about this, and I really just thought this was going to be, like, an interview for Dante Martin. Like, I really just thought this was a quick showcase for Dante Martin. I was not expecting what we had happen, and that is just an homage, I don't know what the word I'm looking to, is credit to AEW and the spotlight that it shines on its younger talent and continuing to build new talent, which we hear about all the time, but it bears repeating every single time, too. But then, guys, we got it. We got the black mass to Dante Martin, and you know I popped out of my chair. You know I love that move. Just kick him in the face. Kick him in the face, Malachi. Where's Brock Anderson? Throw him out there, too. Kick him in the face, too. Love that move, man. Love that move. And yeah, this was great. Obviously, the lights went down. Malachi Black came in, gave him the black mass, and said, "The House of Black accepts. Be careful what you go wishing for, Dante Martin." And this match is going to be awesome. It's either going to be a really quick squash match, but I think AEW is going to do Dante Martin a little bit better than that, which it really wouldn't be a surprise if that's where they went. But I think it'll be a really cool, banger, and I think it'll probably elevate Dante Martin to a level that, we all assume he's at talent-wise in the ring, but might elevate him to a level just like appearance-wise, if that makes sense. Just more reps that we get to see on Dynamite. See him take Malachi Black to the limit. Will definitely only but elevate Dante Martin. It could also be a squash, though. Who knows? I'm looking forward to it either way. The House of Black accepts. Mimi Burris accepts. I'm sure all of you accept, and this is going to be great. So, after this wonderful segment, we had Ricky Starks coming to the ring. He talked about the FTW Championship. He called Brian Cage a corny something. Said he was going to challenge him to a Philadelphia street fight. Brian Cage shouldn't show up for work. Brian Cage comes out. Turns out he did show up for work. Brian Cage is, does his thing. Hobbs and Hook come out. The greatest part of this was Hook's tracksuit. But Hook comes out and Hobbs, and they make the save. And we've seen this 100 times. And this is a saga, man. It's not good. It's just it's like, this is the kind of long-term storytelling. I'm like, all right, get to the freaking point. Didn't we already see the match, too? We already saw the match between Ricky Starks and Brian Cage. So Brian Cage is getting a lot of flack on the internet for this whole thing, and obviously with him coming out about wanting more TV time and all that stuff. Kind of the first person from AEW talking about how, he's not happy with how he's being used. And you know what? There are going to be many more situations like Brian Cage later on down the line. So I don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't want to talk about this. Let's talk about something else. We've talked about this plenty of times. They need to move on and just get it over with. Let's talk about this banger of a women's match, because that's really what I want to focus on tonight, guys. Karashito versus Serena Deeb. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I saw them come down with that plaque, that 50th win plaque, and I said, nope. She's not getting that. Serena Deeb's going to throw that in her frickin' face. I knew it. I felt it coming. And I was just... It satisfied me even more than I thought it would when we got to that point. Great just chain wrestling back and forth between these women. Yeah, things got a little clunkier kind of towards the end. And honestly, I feel like that happens a lot in Hikaru Shida matches. And it's not even... Clunky might not be the best word to describe it. Sometimes it's just like the way she strikes... with her knees especially, but some of those knee strikes in the corners look vicious. Wonderful, wonderful to see Serena Deeb back. That goes without saying for sure. We, again, are Deeb fans, Deeb fanatics. I'm going to come up with something cute. We're Deebers. We're Serene Delieber. We're Deeb Lieber. I'm going to come up with something, guys. You just wait. It's going to happen. But yes, we are Serena Deeb fans here. And I was really happy to see Serena Deeb get the win. You know, a bunch of near falls with a Falcon Arrow, kick out, a bunch of knees, kick out. And then Serena Deeb hits her, I forget what her finisher is called, but hits her finisher. And gets another kick out, and I love this. You know what? You need to use this finish more often, because I think it's, especially with submission specialists like your Bryan Danielsons and your Serena Deebs, and I think those two deserve to be in the same category, honestly. Serena Deeb just not nearly gotten as much exposure probably because she's a woman. But yeah, Serena Deeb doing the not getting the kick out from a Karashito and then just immediately locking on the Serenity Lock. Tap out real quick from Karashito, which I also liked. Yeah, if the guy or lady or whoever kicks out of your finisher and you're right there, like, yeah, if you're a submission specialist, what would you do? Like, lock on your submission, lock on your best move. And honestly, guys, that Serenity Lock is my favorite submission out there right now. The way she was pounding on the knee against the mat. And I thought this was a really good match. I thought, it was the third hour and it was a women's match, and AEW fans have been told not to care about women's matches, and that's your pee break and all that other stuff. And sad, because this was my favorite pure wrestling match of the night, 100%. These two women are just so talented. And you know what? For Karashita, I was thinking, like, where do we go from here, right? Does she get her 50th win on Dark? Then that's it? They made the whole plaque and then it just didn't happen? Or does she keep losing a bunch of matches, right? She goes on kind of a downward spiral. And then we kind of see if the fans get behind her, which they seemingly already do. People love Hikaru Shida. But see if we can get behind her a little bit more. And we have her just kind of like just unable, again, over and over again, kind of just unable to get the win somehow. And maybe a couple upsets here and there. And then maybe in that TBS championship match, that TBS championship tournament thing that they're going to do, title match thing, we have her slowly, like, maybe she gets all the way to the finals, and maybe she loses there, maybe she wins. We get a story of retribution, we get a story of so close. I just think there's a lot they can do with this, and I'd love for there to be more stories told in the women's division, and this was that on a very micro level, so I will take it, guys. I will take it without a doubt. And yeah, again, watching Serena Deeb on my television, thank God. Spoiler alert, she should be the TBS champion, and I'd say she should be the AEW World Champion, but Britt Baker is better than everybody ever. So, after the match, Serena Deeb hits her with the trophy, like I said, and throws it on the ground, and the thing falls apart, and it was just wonderful. And a really good shot, too, of, like, Hikaru Shida on the mat with the trophy thing, or whatever it was called, the plaque next to her head. So, Darby Allin is being interviewed backstage by Alex Marvez, wondering if he has accepted the challenge for a match against MJF next week. But all of a sudden, a bunch of masked men, first it could have been Retribution, that's what people were saying online. Who knows, guys? It could be Wyndham Rotunda and a clan of his choosing. I mean, it could have been anybody in those masks. Come beat up Darby Allin, put him in a very familiar move, kind of similar to what Brock Lesnar does, but I don't know. They do that on these steel railing things. He gets thrown into the garage door by these wonderful two guys who they look like they might even be like a tag team. I don't know. They look like they were in sync. So yeah, these guys in these masks just attack Darby Allin, and then at the end, this one guy in the mask and a suit chokes him out with his own skateboard, jams the skateboard in his throat, and then later on in the main event, we find out Darby Allin is not medically cleared to compete next week. So I'm sure MJF, honestly, guys, is sitting backstage just peed off about this, because he was ready for the match next week, and these hooligans, these miscreants, these criminals came and just attacked and they just robbed that match of us next week. So I'm excited to find out who this was. Maybe we'll get down to it. And I think that the booking of this is really in all seriousness, the booking of this is really nice and smart and refreshing. Yeah, why wouldn't you book the match next week, like right away, when MJF is saying those kind of things about Darby Allin and his family and all that stuff? And then, again, this beatdown, making it so they don't have to do that match next week, and we get to, maybe we even save it till Full Gear. That's only in November, guys. We are closing in on Full Gear, so I'd like to see Darby Allin and MJF at Full Gear if they're able to continue to elevate it each week, so... And it was nice to see the Pinnacle, allegedly see the Pinnacle all together again. Ski masks or not, at least they were on screen together, so that was nice. We have a Lio Rush promo, which I don't really care to talk about. And we have a DMD, Britt Baker promo, where she talks about the TBS Championship. And then she talks about all these people who are below her. All these jealous, you-know-what in the back, can fight amongst themselves instead of obsessing over her and her title. And I don't know, guys. I think all of this kind of falls into. I would like to be able to sit down with some co-hosts and kind of talk out this whole TBS title thing. So we will wait to get into that. Until then, again, Patreon only $1 a month, $2.99 a month on iTunes too. Totally ad free. If Patreon is not your thing. I don't know why I'm whispering, but let's move on to the main event, which was Andrade versus Jon Moxley versus Lance Archer versus Matt Hardy versus Orange Cassidy versus Pac versus, the Joker? Who could that be? And it was, and we will get to that, but I would like to go through this match with each entrant, and I really like this match on TV better than I liked it on any pay-per-view. I just want to throw that out there. I really thought that it fit a lot better with the commercial break, and it flowed a lot quicker. So I just want to throw that out there first too. But we started off the match with Pac and Orange Cassidy, and there couldn't have been a better way to start it. With Orange Cassidy being able to kind of get his stuff in, Pac really getting the heel response, but everybody loves Pac. It's just because he's in the ring with Orange Cassidy. So, a lot of back and forth. I love that, amateur wrestling move. Take him down. Very Dolph Ziggler-esque. For some reason, he's the guy who comes to my mind. And, where they do, like, the spinneroonie on his back. Pac did that on... I can't describe it. You guys know what I'm talking about. Orange Cassidy getting in some forearms. And then Pac goes to get the ladder. Orange Cassidy says, I don't want that in here. So he kicks it out. Andrade El Idolo comes out next. He tries to bring a ladder in. And Pac... drop kicks that, or springboards into Andrade, drop kicks the ladder out first, springboards into Andrade, and they brawl. There was a sunset flip powerbomb off the ladder from Andrade the Pac that looked brutal. The way Pac sold it and just like sat there for a while, it was so good. We had Matt Hardy come in too, and he goes at it with Orange Cassidy for a little while, or he reverses the orange punch into a side effect. And he goes and starts laying everybody out. He starts climbing. But Orange Cassidy gets his leg, just like hugs it and brings him back down. Except, however, Matt Hardy throws him into the ladder and we go to commercial break. When we come back from commercial, Lance Archer... I didn't watch the picture-in-picture. It was late. I'm tired. Lance Archer had already entered, and I thought he was the perfect guy to throw in during the picture-in-picture break because I couldn't care less about anything that Lance Archer does nowadays, guys. I wish I could, but I just don't. And then we have Jon Moxley enter the match. Him and Lance Archer immediately start brawling into the crowd. One fan gets, in the crossfire briefly. Honestly, I don't know. We're gonna talk about this in a little bit. But and then guys, let's get to the real point here. The Joker, Hangman Adam Page comes out. The crowd erupts. For all of you out there who said anything about the fact that we're going to forget about Hangman and there's all these big names, screw that, man. Hangman is the people's champion. I know that moniker is used already, but I don't care. Hangman comes out, huge reaction. Cowboy, you-know-what chants throughout for minutes, it felt like. Hangman Page just goes wild. A bunch of really cool spots. Hits a bunch of lariats on Jon Moxley, just going back and forth, fists flying with Jon Moxley. Then hits Archer with a lariat as well. Gets Cassidy in a fallaway slam into a ladder. And then hits Matt Hardy out of the ring as well. And then Pac comes in with a chair, however, and he gets Adam Page in the back. And then we start to slowly settle down a little bit from the whole Hangman Page thing. But the crowd doesn't. The crowd is still erupting for Hangman Page. We had an incredible spot with Pac and Andrade, where Andrade took a rough bump on a ladder to the outside off the turnbuckle. We had a freaking avalanche deadeye through a table off a ladder. Pac, you are the man, the myth, the legend. What a bump, man. Again, huge reaction, but they were already going crazy in Philadelphia. Moxley comes in the ring, hits a DDT. If they continue to call that a paradigm shift, I'm going to go to every place that AEW travels, get a ticket right next to commentary, and hold up a sign that says JR, Shivani, Excalibur. That's not a paradigm shift. It's a freaking DDT. Know the difference. This is your job. Anyways, he brings the ladder into the middle of the ring, starts climbing, but Orange Cassidy comes out to stop him, throws punches back and forth. Matt Hardy tips the ladder over. They both fall down. Orange Cassidy and Matt Hardy battle out of the ring. Matt Hardy puts him on the table, does the Matt Hardy leg drop off a ladder. Matt Hardy's pelvis screams. We all hear it across the country. And then we go back into the ring where Jon Moxley is climbing up the ladder. But Hangman Page lays him out. Lance Archer set up the ladder. Hangman Page lays him out with a perfectly, beautifully timed buckshot lariat. Then Jon Moxley gets up, starts climbing the ladder. Hangman Page starts climbing the ladder after that. Jon Moxley hits him with the steel chair. Hangman Page's sell of that hit with the steel chair was so perfect, guys. It's like, oh, that really freaking hurt, but I'm not going to stop climbing now. Like, I'm selling this. I'm registering it, and I'm selling it, but I am not going to. This is my chance. They both meet at the top of the ladder. Fists are flying, except Jon Moxley can't take it. Falls off the ladder. Hangman climbs up, grabs the chip thing, and retrieves the giant Proco Trip and becomes the #1 contender to the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Hopefully to face Kenny Omega at Full Gear. Cracks a beer atop the ladder, celebrates, and that is how we go off the air. Oh my God, guys. This was the second best ladder match in AEW history. This was the best casino anything they've ever had. It was so, like, all the tropes and cliches didn't feel forced. They felt very organically, like, gotten to, and everything set up. If maybe, again, I really think it was the picture-in-picture breaks that really helped with that. My favorite thing about this match, I think, was obviously Hangman Page being there and winning. I think this was such a good way to go. It was kind of expected. A lot of us thought it was coming, but I thought it was such a predictable. It's not always bad. Anyway, I thought it was such a good way to get Hangman Page back into the title picture. And again, the crowd was with him the entire time. But as I was saying, my favorite part about this match, or one of my favorite parts about this match, was that you had Pac and Andrade, right? Kind of in a feud, right? Or ended, but they're still going on. We had Lance Archer and Jon Moxley, who have been fighting recently, obviously with some friends by their sides, but kind of in a feud as well. And then we have Orange Cassidy and Matt Hardy, who have been in the longest feud ever, it feels like, since the Best Friends and Miro and Kip Sabian feud. So all these 6 guys kind of paired off with each other. It really helped with that suspension of disbelief as to, like, why is Matt Hardy not going in the ring and climbing the ladder? Why is he taking time to do a leg drop on the outside to Orange Cassidy? Oh, yeah, because they're enthralled in a feud. Like, it really left Hangman Page as the odd man out and the perfect odd man out to be able to grab that poker chip, be the #1 contender. Guys, I'm so hyped about this. So many little details. The selling in this match was so well done. The only person I thought looked kind of like a chump was Andrade, but he took a bunch of really big bumps, so power to him. And they really got their stuff in, but without making it look like they got their stuff in. And really, I thought I'd give Dynamite a 9 out of 10. I thought this was not a 9 point, maybe, we'll stick with a 9 out of 10. I thought this was like an A Dynamite for sure, guys. Not everything was perfect. I don't know if I've seen a perfect Dynamite yet. I'm keeping my 10 out of 10 really kind of on a high scale, but or really harder to achieve. But yeah, this was such a fun show to watch, guys. This was one of my favorite Dynamites in a long time, besides obviously the Grand Slam that I got to be at live. That's a little bit subjective, though, I'd say. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to go back and watch this ladder match again. I'm probably going to watch Dante Martin get his head kicked off by Aleister Black a couple times. And I'm definitely going to go back and rewatch that women's match between Karashito and Serena Deeb, because give me all the Deeb I can get. I'm going to come up with something with that Deeb. There's got to be something there. Give me suggestions, guys. Are we Deeb, delete? I want to keep saying, like, believers, Deeb, like Justin Bieber, believe, whatever. I'll come up with something. Deebers? Are we Deeb? No, that sounds too much like Bieber. All right. Anyways, as you guys can tell, it's time for me to go to bed. It has been a long, long week, a long, long day, a lot of work, a lot of life, a lot of wonderful stuff going on, but I am so thrilled to always be able to come on here, talk to you guys just for an hour or so about AEW Dynamite, and it's been so fun to just be on the tweeter with you guys, at Mimi Burris, MIMIBURRIS. If you don't already follow me and you want to follow me, or you just want to tweet me about how negative and awful I am, that's cool too. All clout is good clout, guys. Yeah, follow me on there, and it's been really fun to just talk to you guys on Twitter throughout this stuff. I hate that I can't watch a lot of these shows live. Nonetheless, though, you guys still bear with me, so thank you, as always, for listening, and I will talk to you guys next time.